welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to Because Evie Said So. I'm your host, Evie, and we're going to be talking about Law and Order Organized Crime today. Season 2, Episode 6, okay? It's called Unforgivable. Well, you know what we do. How did it begin? What happened? Who did it? Why? And how did it end? Well, how did it begin? It started with a recap about the girls, about the trafficking, the human trafficking, them actually catching them, and Costa saying that there's a rat in the organization. Remember? So Elliott brings Flatura back to the bar. She's drunk, of course, and they drink in the bar together. She wants him to drink. He actually tosses his drink, because he doesn't want to get drunk. He wants to probe her for information. So someone is actually watching them. And Elliott, like I said, throws out the drink, Flatura, that she fixed him. And she starts dancing like crazy to the 70s and 80s music, like she jamming, right? Well, then Elliott says that, you know what that song is about. It's about a prostitute. She said, well, you're assuming. And he says, well, what about the girls at the party? They were prostitutes. And she smacks him right across the face, because he referred to the girls as prostitutes, and she doesn't like that. He's trying to get as much information as possible from her, so he apologizes. Flatura is telling Elliott that she protects the girls from Albanian men because she herself was sold when she got to America to Albanian men. Actually, on the boat ride over, she was assaulted sexually many times and raped. She was victimized, and the only one that didn't victimize her was Albie. Not only did he not victimize her, but he took her home and he married her. So that's why she's with Albie. So someone is outside, and Elliott starts chasing him. He demands to know who this guy is when he catches him. And he says, well, I'm your son. What? Now he tells the young man to get out of there, and then he goes back to the bar to continue to talk to Flatura. His son, Eddie Wagner, has a son? Oh my gosh. So he knows he has a problem. Someone is so fired. They didn't do their research too good. They had one job to research. Well, Elliott talks to his real son, Eli, at home, since he's had problems, since his son is using drugs and mad at him. So what happened? Now we see the candidate for governor of New York on TV. He's speaking ill of Costa and his organization. We see the crew talking about it, and Sergeant Brewster, and Sergeant Bell, and all the rest. Now, Elliott goes off on his crew about the fact that Eddie has a son, and he was confronted in person. Just a second, you guys. I'm going to get something to drink. Hold on. I love my container. So, Louis Edward Chinaski is the actual guy's name, Eddie's son. And he was put in foster care around when he was 6 years old due to abuse from his father. Now, Eddie was a child abuser to his son, the real Eddie. And Jet Slootmeyer, she apologizes for not catching it earlier because remember, I told you somebody should be so fired because, hello, he's under investigation. He's running, an investigation. He should know about these things. So they talked to Edmund, who's in custody, about his knowledge about Costa, right? But he ain't answering no questions. Now they have him dead to the rights, and they're trying to roll him for information. Now, Sergeant Bell is so smart. She brings in the partially burned black book with the many names who are tied to it and Costa, right? So back at the gym, we see Albie and Eddie talking about Eddie's son because the kid is showing up now at the gym. Now, Elliott threatens him so that he can make him believe that he's hard. He don't want to have anything to do with him. He don't want to have any interest in him whatsoever. He has to shake this young man because he's jeopardizing his investigation. This kid is messing up his op. So Sergeant Ayanna Bell and Teddy Garcia, the guy that's the candidate for governor of New York, talk about her investigation. And she needs him to calm down. Because he up there on TV talking about Costa, and she's like, I'm warning you, you don't want to take on Costa and his organization. Excuse me. So, who did it, right? So Costa and his people talk about the rat in the organization. Everyone is there. You got Eddie, Albie, Flatura, Reggie. Elliott is not in the room currently. And then he comes into the room. So he's got everybody there. And while he's there, he says someone in the room has been disloyal. So he tells James to stand up. And he uses him as an example. He actually cuts the man's tongue out, okay, to show how serious he is about finding the rat. And if he wasn't crazy enough, he takes the tongue that he just cut out and he stabs it and tacks it into the wall, right? Crazy, like insane crazy. Well, when talking to Albie, he asked, do you think it could be Eddie, Eddie that you got? You know, do you think he's the spy or whatever? And he says, nah, he's too small time to do such a thing. So Costa wants Teddy Garcia dead now because he talked about him on national TV, and you just don't do that. You know, he calls Eddie in to talk to Albie and to teach Albie about American history, that the assassinations of various prominent men in America is possible. Because Albie's like, you can't kill senators or congressmen or people like that. He's like, yes, I can. So why? Costa feels like Teddy has been disrespected. You know, Teddy disrespected him and he wants him dead. Blood feud is what he said. He wants Eddie to find out who tipped the police off and to convince Costa himself that it wasn't Eddie, him, that's the mole. Now, Flatura goes to Reggie's mom to ask why she doesn't like Eddie Wagner. She reads the coffee grounds that are in her cup and tells her that he saved someone. And Flatura says, well, yeah, he saved me, but has he saved anyone else? Well, she doesn't know the answer to that. You know, she writes it down because she really can't talk. So Sergeant Ayanna Bell and Elliott meet in the laundromat. He tells Ayanna that Costa wants Teddy Garcia dead and that he's so serious that he actually cut the tongue out of James' mouth right in front of him. Sergeant Bell meets with Teddy again to tell him that a hit's been put out on him, but he won't listen. So I guess he's going to die because he don't listen. Now, the boy, Eddie's son, the boy tries so hard to get to know his dad, Eddie. So Elliott tells him to bring a giant can of lighter fluid to his place. Sorry, that's my Dexcom alert going off. Pay no attention to that. So he tells him to get a giant can of lighter fluid to take to his place. And he asks him, you know, do you know where I live? And he says, well, yeah, duh. So cut to Nova in the office of Congressman Kilbright. When Sergeant Bell and her wife arrive, because they need to talk to Congressman Kilbright about some stuff. Now, Sergeant Bell recognizes Nova, and she sees her, and Nova recognizes her. Well, they are there because of the settlement for her nephew, and it looks like that the police would like to give him $750,000 and a partial statement saying that they were sorry because they got the wrong guy and they broke his hand. You know, I'm not going to even go into that right now because you know how I feel. So how did it end? Eddie is day drinking with Reggie. He talks to Reggie. He wants to know what Albie gave him as far as a job. He has an inkling, but he wants him to tell him. He wants Reggie to think they're friends and that he can tell him anything. And Reggie really wants a friend, but he was always taught that he only had friends in the organization. And as Eddie is an outsider, he's not really sure that he can trust him. Well, you know, Eddie reassures Reggie, yes, you can. So he tells him what he's going to do. He's supposed to kill Teddy. Well, Reggie's suspicious, but he trusts him. So he says, okay, I'm going to tell you. So they're going to kill Teddy. So now the crew, Sergeant Bell, Sergeant Brewster, and all their crew have to get ready because they got to stop this hit. Now, Reggie is high. He's taking pills. He's driving on the way to Garcia's house. He's actually dressed up like an Amazon guy or a delivery guy, and he's going to knock on the door. And then when he answers, he's going to shoot him, right? So Eddie says he's got eyes on Garcia. He tells Reggie, just keep driving around. I see him. I'll let you know when he gets in the house. He's doing that to stall for time because he actually has to get to Teddy to let him know not to go home. So he catches him, he interacts with his security team, and Elliott tries to tell him this is real. So they have him call his wife while he drives him to his home like he's speeding, trying to get there. And his wife is not supposed to be home. She's supposed to be volunteering at her volunteer job, but she is home. So they have to get to the house before Reggie, you know, because he's going to shoot him. So Teddy's wife is actually at home. He gets her on the phone. Finally, Reggie is right outside. He rings the doorbell and she says, well, hold on, babe. I got to get this package. And he's like, no, 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 don't answer the door. But before he can really get that out, she answers the door and Reggie shoots her. Now, they don't get to her in time and she dies. By the time that Teddy gets there, she's already dead. You know, they tried to tell him to be quiet, that Costa was no joke, but he didn't listen. And she's dead, and that's a shame. Costa thinks Reggie might have screwed up. But then he thinks Reggie did a good thing because now Teddy's going to suffer for what he did. If he'd have just killed Teddy, it'd have been over. Now, Albie says he'll kill Teddy himself. And Costa now wants Edmund Ross out of the picture because he's been talking. Now, Albie agrees to kill him too. You know, he gives Costa his word he's going to take care of it. Teddy Garcia goes before the cameras in the same shirt, the same bloody shirt that he had on when his wife died. Like, he had her blood all over him. And I feel so bad for him. But he talks to the press and he says he's not going to rest until the cowards are brought to justice. Didn't they just tell you to be quiet? Your wife just died. Like, they just murdered her. But anyway, meanwhile, Reggie's drinking heavily in the bar and he is high off pills. Sergeant Brewster and Sergeant Ayanna Bell arrest him and take him in for murder. He goes home to his trailer, Elliott does, and finds Eddie's son there with the lighter fluid that he told him to get. Now his son wants him to teach him stuff to be like him. He tells Elliott, I want to be like you. And he's like, no, you don't want to be like me. He says, you know what? You're right. I want to know what you are because I know you're not Eddie Wagner. I know you're not my dad. Woo! So how will Eddie get out of this one? I think Elliott is in too deep and is going to have the hardest time getting out, especially with this kid now. What are they going to do? How are they going to shut him up? Are they going to move him? Are they going to let him know about the investigation? I mean, he seems vulnerable and he seems to be like he wants to do no good. You know what I'm saying? So will Eddie's real son tell Albie, or better yet, Costa? If you like me bringing you this kind of content from Law and Order SVU and Law and Order Organized Crime reviews, then please take the time to subscribe. I really would appreciate it. Go ahead and give me a thumbs up, a like, hit the notification bell so you'll know when I'm coming back to you so you do not miss a thing. I love you guys. This was a deep, deep episode as well. Give me some comments. Let me know how you liked it. I appreciate you guys. I love you all, and Law and Order on.